The dawn of time was supposed to be dark. We were told the first galaxies struggled for hundreds of millions of years to slowly ignite in a thick, primordial fog. But as of late January, the established timeline of creation is officially broken. The James Webb Space Telescope has just confirmed the existence of a cosmic miracle at the absolute edge of the observable universe. It's called MOM-Z14. A fully formed blazing beacon existing just 280 million years after the Big Bang. It is 100 times brighter than theoretical physics allows, and Webb's sensors have detected massive spikes of heavy nitrogen, the chemical ashes of dead stars, in an era where stars had barely begun to form. Scientists are now asking the terrifying question: are our computer models just slightly off? Or did the early universe violently detonate into life billions of years ahead of schedule? Today, we unlock the Webb data that theoretical physicists can no longer explain away. When the James Webb Space Telescope launched, its primary mission was to look back to the dawn of time. It was built to find the very first faint points of light that emerged from the absolute darkness of the early cosmos. Almost immediately, the telescope began finding anomalies. It captured deep-field images of galaxies that looked far too massive, far too bright, and far too complex for their environments. The theoretical models of the universe, built over half a century of observation, insisted these structures were mathematically impossible. Many astronomers tried to brush these early discoveries off as optical illusions. They argued that gravitational lensing or dust interference was tricking the sensors. They believed these impossible galaxies were actually much closer, and therefore much older and more developed than the initial data suggested. To settle the debate, an international team of researchers launched a dedicated observation campaign. They called it the Mirage or Miracle Survey. The goal was simple: point the most advanced spectrographic sensors ever built at these deep space anomalies and find out if they were a trick of the light or a miracle of physics. The team, led by Dr. Rohan Naidu at the MIT Kavli Institute for Astrophysics and Space Research, focused on a specific target in the cosmos legacy field. They bypassed the standard imaging cameras and engaged Webb's near-infrared spectrograph, a tool designed to measure the exact stretching of light across the expanding universe. The results, published in the Open Journal of Astrophysics, confirmed the absolute worst fears of the theoretical physicists. The anomaly was not a mirage, it was a miracle, and it officially broke the timeline of the cosmos. The spectrograph locked onto the galaxy and measured its cosmological redshift at a staggering z equals 14.44. In the rigid, uncompromising mathematics of astronomy, that number is a chronological paradox. A redshift of 14.44 means that the light from this galaxy has been traveling through the expanding void of space for 13.53 billion years. We are not seeing this object as it exists today. We are looking directly into the deepest past humanity has ever observed, breaking the previous record holder by tens of millions of years. We are seeing this galaxy exactly as it was a mere 280 million years after the Big Bang. To put that into perspective, if the 13.8 billion year history of the universe were compressed into a single calendar year, MOM-Z14 would exist in the very first week of January. The universe was barely 2% of its current age. And because the universe has been physically expanding at an accelerating rate during the 13.5 billion years that light took to reach us, the actual physical distance of this galaxy today is estimated to be an incomprehensible 33.8 billion light-years away. But the sheer distance of MOM-Z14 is not what is forcing a rewrite of the textbooks. The true crisis lies in its physical impossibility. According to the standard model of cosmology, known as lambda CDM, the universe builds itself from the bottom up. The math dictates that gravity requires vast amounts of time to slowly pull cold gas together. The very first galaxies should have been incredibly faint, fragile collections of a few million stars struggling to ignite in the freezing dark. They were supposed to be the dim, flickering embers of creation. MOM-Z14 is not an ember. It is a raging, out-of-control inferno. The spectroscopic data proves that this single galaxy is up to 100 times more luminous than theoretical models predicted a galaxy of this age could possibly be. It is producing a blinding torrent of ultraviolet radiation that simply shouldn't exist 280 million years after the Big Bang. And yet, the physical structure of the galaxy makes its extreme brightness even more baffling. C is exceptionally compact. The data shows it has a radius of roughly 300 light-years. For comparison, our own Milky Way galaxy is over 100,000 light-years across. MOM-Z14 is a microscopic speck in the cosmic ocean. Yet, despite being practically invisible in terms of sheer size, it contains the mass of roughly 100 million suns. It is an ultra-dense, hyper-compact nuclear engine floating in the early void. Initially, some researchers hoped that this impossible brightness was a trick. They theorized that the light was coming from an active galactic nucleus, a supermassive black hole aggressively feeding on gas and blasting radiation into space. If it was a black hole, the models of galaxy formation might still survive. Webb spectrograph proved the intense light isn't from a feeding black hole. It is driven entirely by a violent, unnatural burst of rapid star formation. But the most terrifying data point from the January 2026 publication is the chemical signature. The early universe should be simple, consisting only of primordial hydrogen and helium. Heavy elements like nitrogen take billions of years to forge, requiring multiple generations of stars to live, die, and go supernova. When the MIT team looked at MOM-Z14, existing just 280 million years after the Big Bang, they expected a pristine environment. Instead, Webb's sensors detected massive, inexplicable spikes of nitrogen. This is a chronological impossibility. There simply wasn't enough time for multiple generations of stars to detonate. Yet MOM-Z14 was already deeply polluted with the heavy metals of a much older universe. To explain this impossible nitrogen spike, astrophysicists are proposing a terrifying new mechanism: supermassive stars. The theory suggests this ultra-dense early galaxy birthed stellar behemoths thousands of times the mass of our Sun. Burning at unimaginable temperatures, they exhausted their fuel in a fraction of a cosmic second, living fast, dying violently, and accelerating the chemical evolution of the cosmos. The theory suggests that in the ultra-dense, globular cluster-like environment of MOM-Z14, runaway stellar collisions were happening constantly. These collisions forged supermassive stars that detonated almost immediately, churning out heavy metals on a radically accelerated timeline and flooding the tiny galaxy with nitrogen. But the violence of MOM-Z14 does not stop at its own borders. The James Webb Space Telescope data proves that this galaxy is actively attacking the universe around it. The early universe was filled with an opaque, suffocating fog of neutral hydrogen gas. Light could not travel freely. If you were floating in space 300 million years after the Big Bang, you would not see a sky filled with stars. You would see absolute, unbroken darkness. This fog was eventually burned away during an era known as the epoch of reionization, when early galaxies produced enough energy to strip the electrons from the hydrogen atoms, clearing the fog and making the universe transparent. For decades, we believed the universe woke up gently. But MOM-Z14's spectrum tells a violent story. Researchers noticed the absence of a damping wing, the dark spectrographic shadow created when light is absorbed by thick, neutral hydrogen fog. The fog around this galaxy is gone. MOM-Z14 is pumping out so many ionizing photons, it is acting like a cosmic blowtorch. It isn't just lighting the dark. It is aggressively burning a massive hole in the primordial universe, single-handedly triggering the epoch of reionization in its local sector. This isn't just a record-breaking observation. It is a system failure for modern cosmology. The Standard Model says the universe carefully assembled its mass over eons. Webb proves this narrative is false. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the latest deep space anomalies.